Hello everyone, welcome to episode 104 of Talk Wrestling here on NoDQ.com. Thank you all for watching last week's Raw vs. Impact preview. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and if you didn't, well, then you let me know about it, wouldn't you? Thank you also to the 11,000 and counting of you who have subscribed on YouTube. My goal now, Aaron, let's make the new goal 12,000 by WrestleMania, yeah? Okay. 12,000 subscribers by WrestleMania, which is March 28th. It's only a few weeks away. We're at 11,005, almost 11,006 as I say this right now in front of you. So I think we can do that. Let's make it happen. 12,000 by WrestleMania. All right. Anyway, last week we did the preview of Raw vs. Impact. We're going to get back to the real stuff now. Let's go to the mailbag. This is from Tim Noble. I started watching WWE around 2005, so I never saw the Attitude Era or WCW versus WWE. So, could you please explain what happened between WCW and WWE and how the Undisputed title came to be, and maybe a little bit about the Attitude Era? Okay. Consolidate the Attitude Era in 10 minutes or less. Okay. The Attitude Era started officially in 98, but it really started happening in about 1997. WWE was getting their butt kicked by WCW in the Monday Night Wars, and they had to do something. They had to change their products somehow. And what they decided to do was basically Jerry Springer type television, Crash TV as Russo has popularized it. Just go for the jugular as far as ratings go, you know, sink to any levels, do anything they possibly could. Monday Night Raw became Raw as War. They had a full-on attitude shift in February of 97. ECW started invading the WWE back then. And it was, oh, we're seeing ECW on WWF television. What the hell is going on? It was very, very taboo, very new. From then on, it progressed further and further. The baby faces and heels were sort of shaded gray. They were never black nor white. They were kind of, you know, in between. Everybody had an appeal somehow, whether they were a good guy or a bad guy. Everybody drew numbers. Everybody drew houses. The Attitude Era officially began on March 29, 1998 with the winning of the WWE Championship by Stone Cold Steve Austin from Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14. From then on, the Austin McMahon feud really took off like a bat out of hell. April 13th, 98, WWE won the wars for the first time in 80 plus weeks, 83 weeks I believe, or 84. They won the Monday Night Ratings war, and from then on it went back and forth for a while. WCW won their last night, October of 98. The Attitude Era continued on. WWE kept getting raunchier and raunchier. WCW responded by signing Russo to Ferrara. They got raunchier and raunchier. They both went back and forth, with Turner fighting with WCW, trying to keep him clean. WWE getting kicked off, you know, losing sponsors, losing the PTC support, losing all that stuff. 2001 was the end of the war. The Attitude Era continued, however, the invasion took place during 2001, so that was kind of the end of the Attitude Era. It was WWF versus WCW officially for the first time, although it was both of the WWF umbrella. The Attitude Era ended, for lack of a better term, in April 2002 with the beginning of the brand extension era, which is what we're going through right now. Although this is the modern era, I guess you could say. When Raw and SmackDown split, because there was no storylines continuing on both shows, mostly. So the Attitude Era lasted about 4 years. The Undisputed title came about when the WWF bought WCW in March 2001. The WCW champion started appearing on WWF television. They had a bitter war between WWF and WCW/ECW, the Alliance, for most of 2001. Survivor Series 2001 ended that by the WWF defeating the Alliance and putting WCW and ECW out of business, temporarily ECW. The WCW Championship became known as the World Championship before the World Heavyweight Championship was established in 2002. And it was decided that the WWF Champion and WCW Champion would face each other at Vengeance to battle in a unification match. That was decided by WWF co-owner Ric Flair. WWF co-owner Vince McMahon countered by saying, why don't we have WWF Champion Steve Austin versus Kurt Angle, World Champion Rock versus Chris Jericho, and the winners meet in the finals of that tournament for the Undisputed title. Jericho beat The Rock, Austin beat Angle, and then in history-making night, Jericho also defeated Steve Austin to become the first ever Undisputed Champion. The Undisputed title lasted for a few months. Jericho was first, then Triple H, Hogan, Undertaker, Rock again was undisputed champion. Not again, he was first undisputed champion that time. And then Brock Lesnar became undisputed champion at SummerSlam in August of 2002. The next night, he signed with SmackDown exclusively, which meant he would not appear on Raw. The next week on Raw, Eric Bischoff introduced the WCW title belt as the World Heavyweight Championship, and that's why we have a world title on one show and this WWE title on the other show. There you go. Alright, this one's from a buddy on MySpace, Devin Hoteling. I was on ODQ.com last week and I listened to another show. Granted, their show, they have the right to say what they want to say. But do you think Vince McMahon is doing the same thing with John Cena as far as not giving up on Cena, like Al Davis, the Raiders owner, did with Jamarcus Russell? I don't think Russell's a horrible football player. John Cena, in my opinion, has some real talent in the WWE. I'd love to hear your intelligent opinion on this. Cena is not going to be given up on. Cena is the face of WWE. The thing with Jamarcus Russell, in my opinion, I don't watch a whole lot of Raiders football. I don't watch a lot of football, period. But, you know, Russell's talented, but he's not like the face of the Raiders, I don't think. I don't think Raiders really have face. The Raiders' face is the Raider Nation, the fans themselves. So, you know, for us to say that one guy's the face of the Raiders is not necessarily true. On the WWE side, John Cena is the heart and soul of WWE right now. He is the face of that company. So, it's not that Vince is not giving up on him. Vince is still trying to push him down our throats. And that's why a lot of people are kind of rejecting and bumping, because we're sick of seeing Cena every single week. And every single title reign is Cena's. We're just done with it. And I don't dislike John Cena. I'm just sick of John Cena. And I think a lot of the people out there that watch this show and a lot of people that, you know, watch WWE, feel the same way. So it's not a matter of Vince giving up on Cena. It's a matter of Vince still shoving Cena down our throats and us bucking off and reacting that way. That's what's going on. Alright, this one is from Melvin the Mongrel. I love these gimmick names for the viewers. It's awesome. What is my opinion? What is the best, worst Royal Rumble match of all time? P.S. I know you will probably say that the Royal Rumble 2006 was the worst because they pushed Rey Mysterio. If so, please say another one. Actually, the 2006 Royal Rumble is one of my favorites, and at the time, I had no problem with Mysterio. So, you know, whatever. That was a good Royal Rumble. My favorite Rumble, I've said this before, I think a few times on this show, even if not this show, the next MV for sure, is the 1992 Royal Rumble. Ric Flair became the undisputed, wink wink, WWF champion. Such a star-studded match. I mean, you had Flair, Hogan, Savage, Piper, Sid, Kerry Von Erich, British Bulldog, Shawn Michaels, you know, all those guys and a whole lot of others in there that, you know, were the stars of the day in that same match vying for the WWF Championship. Just a tremendous Rumble. As far as my least favorite, I haven't seen all of them. Keep that in mind. I have to say my least favorite is probably the year after '93 when Yoko won the match to go on to face Brett at WrestleMania. This wasn't a good Rumble. They had the big interference with John Gonzalez, which was really hokey and stupid. And then, I don't know what happened with Randy Savage, where he went for a pinfall after the elbow drop on Yokozuna. I don't know if he forgot what match he was in or what, but that was just awful. The 2005 Rumble was hilarious because Vince tore both his quads in the span of, what was it, like 30 seconds? That was hysterical. I felt so, that's one of the few times I felt bad for Vince McMahon. Because he tore one, get in the ring, tried to stand up, tore the other one. That was FUBAR. If you don't know what FUBAR means, look up FUBAR, people. It's good stuff. Yeah, probably 93 is my least favorite, 92 is my most favorite. This year's was actually really, really good. I was impressed how they laid out this year's. I was happy that Edge won and made his big comeback and eliminated Jericho and eliminated Cena, which is always a good time. This year's is really good. The last few years have been really, really good. I've been impressed with the Rumble as of late. But the mid-90s ones were a little bit worse than the ones they are now. This is from Craig Campbell. Hey, Jeff, longtime viewer, first time asking a question. Do you think wrestling nowadays has too much sketches and comedy and gimmicks and the rivalries aren't as serious as they used to be? I think it has become very cartoon-like with Hornswoggle running around in Santino. There's also the masterpiece with his chest thing. I think it's just a waste to have a guy that muscular and not see him in a rivalry in the title picture. I don't know if it's just me. I don't sense the hatred between the face and the heel anymore. I missed how they used to do it like the Rock's rivalry with Triple H. Will we ever see rivalries at least on that level again? I mean, the only good one is Cena and Batista's rivalry, where it looks like it could go either way, unlike Batista and Rey Mysterio's rivalry, where one was way larger than the other. I really don't think Cena and Batista rivalry will be short-lived after WrestleMania, but is WWE going to make a rivalry with similar superstars and a way better storyline? Your thoughts? Boy, that was a lot to say. He had quite a bit to say there. Craig, the current WWE, the current sports entertainment just moves at a fast pace, and as far as rivalries building and lasting a long time, you're not going to see that anymore because they got to go from one pay-per-view to the next, to the next, to the next. Cena versus Orton last year was a big rivalry. It lasted 4 or 5 pay-per-views. Maybe even 3. Maybe 3. But it lasted from, it went through Breaking Point, it went through Hell in a Cell, it went through Bragging Rights, and, Orton versus Triple H last year. The whole McMahon family versus Orton thing lasted the better part of the beginning of last year. There are rivalries that last and stand the test of time and last for more than a pay-per-view's worth or a month's worth or however you want to say it. But, there are some that just, kind of fizzle out and are used for the interim, and that's the end of it. I do agree with you on the outlandish amount of comedy sketches and gimmicks and things like that. But that's the WWE the way it is right now. Look at the pay-per-views. All the pay-per-views are gimmick-driven. Hell in a Cell, Elimination Chamber, TLC, submission matches, Raw versus SmackDown pay-per-view, all those guys. Royal Rumble. They're all gimmick-driven. And they're all here to stay, it looks like. The WWE's released their calendar. They're going to have the same pay-per-views again this year. So, I don't see that happening. The comedy stuff, yeah, Santino's a little old. The Masterpiece, making his chest move was a little old. Hornswoggle's played out. Poor Chavo Guerrero. I was going to mention this last week, but I didn't. Chavo Guerrero was the last man standing as far as all the WCW contracts that were bought out at the beginning of the invasion. Chavo's the last one. He's still there. He has comedic appeal. I guess that's why we want to keep him around. Or it could be the fact that his last name is Guerrero. I don't know, either way. So, I think for us to sit here and say, yeah, it's this, yeah, it's that, it's the current WWE market. It is the way it is, and it sucks. This is from Henry ECW Medhurst. What is your favorite wrestling company other than WWE, TNA, or UFC? Well, UFC is a mixed martial arts company. I think the biggest wrestling promotions besides the big three, UFC is, again, mixed martial arts, is XPW, CCW, FCW, and WEW. What do you think? Well, it seems to me you're on the East Coast, because all those, except for XPW, all the ones you mentioned are East Coast promotions. Out here, there's a lot of NWA promotions out here, AWS, EWF, Mach 1, SoCal Pro, I believe, is NWA, I could be wrong. There's also Epic War, which I used to work for, Gary App's company, great little company, run by Art Over Life Studios. ArtOverLifeStudios.com. You can check them out. Check out their content right now. They got a lot of good stuff posting besides the Epic War stuff. My favorite, though, besides WWE and TNA, would have to be PWG, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. I've been going to their show since 2004, 2004. Yeah. Into 2004, I saw them at the Santa Ana Elks Lodge with Lee, good old Lee Aaron from XMB. And then I saw their anniversary show in July of 2004 at what we know is the Sweatbox, the old gym there at Los Feliz at Sunset and Bates. That was they're a great little company. They're going strong 6 years now. Their titles are world titles, been defended in Europe and Asia and Japan. Japan is Asia. Depending all over the world. And the Young Bucks are the tag team champions. Their current champion now is Davey Richards. He beat Kenny Omega the other night at their show. Congrats to Davey Richards, by the way. Former Adrenaline Unleashed star. Very impressed with PWG. Always have been. I got nothing bad to say about them except their policies on videotaping. But that wasn't our fault. We didn't do that to them. That was kind of somebody else's fault. But other than that, I got no beef with PWG. I've always liked them. This is from Nick Monahan. I read on NerdEQ.com that Rob Feinstein is going to be producing a documentary on the aftermath of the Chris Benoit tragedy. I think this could be a really interesting piece, but can't help but think it's going to end up being a blown opportunity. I have watched several RF video documentaries at a friend's house and can't help but notice that every RF documentary is just a wrestler manager who talks directly into a camera and nothing else. I'm not trying to sound like a snobbish, God, I know that word, cineast, C-I-N-E-A-S-T-E, wow, or anything, but it bothers me that these works aren't anything more interesting to the audience. I really hope that Rob takes liberty to do more than just a stationary camera with a subject speaking with Rob talking behind the camera. Do you agree? Well, you're talking about the shoot videos that Feinstein does, the RF Video does. A lot of their stuff is more than just a guy like me talking into the camera with somebody behind the camera. Right now, somebody behind the camera because Aaron trusts me and he appreciates what I do. I think Feinstein is the guy to do a documentary piece on the tragedy of the Chris Benoit situation. I think he's one of the guys in the wrestling that could do a good job on that. Another guy to do it would be like Meltzer and Alvarez. Alvarez, who we had on the show back in the day. Brian and Dave are both very trusted in this business, and they could do a great job as well. But I think the guy that would do it is Feinstein. He's the one that has the shoot video company. I don't see why he can't do it. This is from Austin Chafin. Let me know how to say your name, Austin. I have no idea how to say your last name. What do you think is the biggest pop in professional wrestling that you have heard personally? I think it happened in 2005 during Shawn Michaels' promo where Bret Hart's music came out and then nothing happened. The place erupted. What do you think? Alright, the biggest pop I ever heard, there's two of them. Watching on TV, the biggest pop I ever heard was when Bret came back earlier this year. At an event I've been to live, the biggest pop, because it was the most sustained pop, there's a tie. One was Hogan when he came out for the Super Show in June 2005 when he teamed up with Cena and Michaels against, let me think now, Tomko, Christian, and I forget who was on that team. Cena, Michaels, and Hogan against Christian, Tomko, and fill in the person here. I remember. The other biggest pop I've ever heard, I was at that event live also, was the 2005 Hall of Fame when Hogan came out. I'm not saying it because it's Hogan, I'm not saying it because I'm biased against Hogan, but the biggest pops I ever heard were for Hogan. And he still gets those pops to this day. You know, he's one of the biggest draws of all time. He pops the numbers, as Vince Russo said in the book. He's a number popper, and he pops the ratings, and he pops the people. So, Hogan, by far. This is from Jose Luis Garza. I was wondering what you thought about the TNA World Championships. I know you've said that the World Championships in WWE are just a part of the storyline and no longer have any prestige, and I understand that completely, but do you feel the same way about the TNA World Championship? And he gives an example of how many times the WWE Championship has changed hands in the World Championship and then the TNA Championship. Yeah, remember, the TNA Championship's been around for 3 years, and to my knowledge, it's been a few guys. Kurt Angle, Sting, Samoa Joe, Mick Foley, and AJ Styles. 5 guys have held that championship in 3 years. That tells me that they, you know, are similar to WWE in the sense that they focus on the same main event guys. But it also tells me to a point that TNA sticks with their guys long term. And sticks with the champ. I mean, Kurt Angle has been champion, I think, 3 times, maybe even 4. Excuse me for itching, I apologize. It's allergic in here. 4, 3 times, whatever it's been, TNA World Champion. And he was a long-term champion every time. Sting has been kind of like, here you go, here's your Lifetime Achievement Award again for having the championship. His longest championship reign was 189 days. That was his second TNA championship. The NWA championship he also had in TNA. AJ's been champion since September. You know, he's the champion, probably a champion going into lockdown to face the Pope. You know, he's with Ric Flair now. He's got a great heel run going at the moment. You know, their championship, I think, still means something. Yes, as bad as TNA is right now, their championship actually means more to the story than does the WWE and World Heavyweight Championships. I mean, you look at it this way. What's the rivalry over both championships running to WrestleMania about? Is it about the title? No. Both WWE and World Championship matches at WrestleMania are about the rivalry, not the title. Edge and Jericho is about a personal thing that started when Edge got hurt and Jericho ran his mouth. And Cena and Batista is about Cena and Batista and the fact that they hate each other and the fact they want to kill each other. It's not nothing. It has to do with the WWE Championship, but only to a certain extent because Batista stole the title from Cena. That's all that is. This is from Young Money, Cash Money. What are your thoughts on the angle on NXT with Michael Cole, who needs to be fired? taking shots at WWE internet fans and the indie scene, plus taking shots at the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan. I think they just kind of gave in to the fact that most people despise Michael Cole's guts, and they went with it. You know, that's honestly what they did. They went with it and decided, you know what, they're going to hate him anyway, let's give him a reason, and they did. I've never liked Michael Cole. I've been very adamant about my opinion about Michael Cole on this show, on XMV. I think even the old audio show, I didn't like him when he was around. So I've never liked Cole, never been a fan of his. I don't think he deserves to have a job. I don't think he's worth it. And the fact that he's, you know, hating on the internet guys. I love on the first episode of NXT, I've never heard Daniel Bryan until he came to NXT. If you are a follower of the business, like Cole claims to be, you've heard of Bryan Danielson. I'm sorry. There's no way around that. Bryan Danielson is one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's one of the most well-known indie superstars in the history of independent wrestling. And he's just phenomenal. If you've never heard of him, then you're an idiot. And Cole is an idiot, so maybe I'm wrong. I know it's gonna be like the in thing that I jump on Cole's back now that he's being anti-internet. But I've been anti-Cole from day one. I didn't like him when he first joined the WWF back in the 90s. So, you know, I was the first one to spearhead that bandwagon, if anybody. I think it's kind of dumb. We asked my opinion what I think of the story. I think it's stupid that he's ragging on us and ragging on the internet people in general. But that's his prerogative. That's WWE's prerogative to shoot somebody after us, you know? Vince has never been a very internet-happy person, nor has Triple H. You know, both of them have been very outspoken against us, so whatever. You know, you got a problem with us? That's cool. Don't have a problem with us? You want to listen to our show? You want to watch our stuff? That's cool, too. This is from Steve Joe, I guess. Hey, Jeff, love the show. I just want to get your thoughts on the Young Bucks TNA debut. I've heard you talk about how good they were on the old shows, but they blew me away in their match with the Motor City Machine Guns. What are your thoughts? I was extremely impressed with the Bucks, excuse me. The Guns. Well, the Guns, too. They had a great match with the Guns. Matt and Nick, or Max and Jeremy as they're now known, Generation Me, set a new standard. Has set a new standard for tag team wrestling in the Indies and now in TNA. The fact that they've gone with the Nasty Boys Team 3D rivalry because Alex got hurt. Shelly's hurt, so they're kind of phasing that rivalry out until he gets better. It sucks because the Nasty Boys and Team 3D are both way past their primes, especially the Nasty Boys. Did the Nasty Boys ever even have a prime? I don't think they did. It's a shame that Alex Shelley got hurt and that Young Bucks Motor City Machine Guns feud was put on the shelf temporarily. When Alex Shelley comes back, look out. They're going to tear the place down. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. I love the Bucks, Generation Me, whatever you want to call them. I'm very impressed with them. I always have been. They are still the reigning Pro Wrestling Guerrilla Tag Team Champions, my favorite promotion out here. They're awesome. I can't say enough good things about Matt and Nick. They're tremendous. Alright, thank you all for watching this week. Next week, we'll come back with a review of the battle between Raw versus Impact. It's going to happen on Monday. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about a few other things. And after that, we'll get back to the mailbag. Also, come at the end of the month, we're going to have almost an immediate, but not quite, a review. And I might even do a preview this time. Because we haven't done a preview of this in a long time. But we did one on XMV back in the day. It was a really good episode. A preview, but definitely a review of WrestleMania this year. Alright? Stay tuned for that. And we'll see you next time on Talk Wrestling.